Hi there, and welcome to my small YouTube channel. It's been quite a while since anyone commissioned a painting, but asking me to paint a tractor is a somewhat odd request. To be honest, I don't particularly like painting any kind of vehicles or buildings, so this tractor is not high on my list. I don't know why they have such an affinity for a tractor, but just because it's not my cup of tea doesn't mean it's not someone else's. Instead of hanging this painting on a wall inside their house, it will be on display outside in the yard next to some big rocks. I hope it will be safe, because the last time I painted a loon for somebody and they put it outside in their yard near the road, someone swiped it. Who'd have thought, eh? Normally I use acrylics. However, in this instance, since the painting will be exposed to the elements, I'll be using one-shot enamels, which are excellent for sign painting. Instead of canvas, I'll be using a board that has the edges sealed so it will hold up in the weather. Since there are so many hard edges, I'll be using lettering brushes, which are chisel-shaped and are great for painting straight lines. Some artists use a maul stick to keep from touching the canvas, but I've always found it somewhat awkward, something else I have to hold on to besides the brush. Instead, I like to use my other hand to help steady and move the brush around. But each his own, whatever works. A steady hand is needed for a job like this, and unfortunately, at almost age 85, nothing about me is that steady any longer. So it's going to be challenging, and the painting will probably take me much longer to complete than in my younger years. My eyesight isn't that great anymore either, but I don't think that will be a problem, especially since I did quite a few paintings before my cataracts were removed. These days of being old and getting older, I sometimes wonder, like this painting, if it will be my last one. Not that it really matters, but I have a couple of other paintings on the go, and I'd really like to finish them, especially the Cleopatra one. I've also got a sculpture on the go, and I'd like to see it finished as well. So much to do and so little time. But maybe that's a good thing, because it keeps me busy, and I like being busy, which sometimes keeps my mind off the inevitable. It's not that far off. I'm too frickin' old for it to be. Besides the various colors I'll be using for the sky, trees, and grass, the tractor is basically different shades of red for the engine and exterior, which are all made of metal. I have to be careful because the painting could start becoming flat if I only use red mixed with black and white for shadows and highlights. But then again, a tractor is hardly a living creature, even when the engine roars to life and belches blue smoke out of the exhaust pipe. My grandfather had a big red tractor, and I remember as a boy sometimes getting to sit on it with him as he worked the land, which made me feel somewhat grown up as it rumbled along, even though it was so noisy we could hardly talk. My grandfather's farm was located along the Fraser River near Prince George, BC, and every summer he planted acres of turnips. And when they were harvested, I used to love sitting with him on the veranda while he carved off bite-sized chunks of fresh turnip with his big knife. It tasted so good, even though I've never been a huge turnip fan. And to this day, whenever I slice off a big chunk of turnip, it takes me back to that big red tractor, and later, sitting on the veranda with my grandfather. My granddad also grew hay for the livestock, which consisted of several horses, cows, and sheep in those days of yore. I remember one day in particular when I was around 12 years old, he let me drive the tractor that had a trailer attached to it. The idea was that my uncle would throw bales of hay onto the trailer while my grandfather stacked them. Well, hell, you should have heard my grandfather curse when I stepped on the gas a little too hard, which caused the tractor to suddenly jerk forward. I can't say that I blamed him for swearing at me, since he tumbled out of the back end. Luckily, the ground was relatively soft, or he could have been hurt, because he was an old man at that time. Not as old as I am now, but close to it. Here's a little story you might get a kick out of concerning a cousin and me when I was a wee boy. My aunt gave her a farm set, which was basically made of cardboard. When she wouldn't let me play with it, we began carrying on like little kids do. Her voice is high and pitched. Granddad was from North Carolina and had a drawl like some U.S. Southerners and was a man of few words. I can still see him sitting in his rocking chair near the 45-gallon steel fireplace when he angrily yelled at us, "Shut your mouths or I'll throw that damn thing in the fire." We were silent for a moment, but before long we were soon carrying on in the same manner. Granddad was very tall and slim, didn't even get out of his chair, simply bent down and with one big slender hand scooped up that barnyard set while opening the door to the fireplace with the other, and threw the whole kit and caboodle into the roaring flames. The surprised look on my cousin's face still makes me chuckle whenever I think back to that time, so long ago. Getting back to the tractor, what can I say? Since it is a machine, it's not like painting a person or an animal, more like a living skeleton when the ignition comes to life. Since there is so much detail, I carefully drew it out on the board, and since the white lettering is very small, I won't be painting that until the very end. Have to be really careful then, because if the red paint is slightly wet, the letters will become pink. Since enamel paint doesn't dry quickly, I doubt that I'll be able to paint the tractor all at once, but we'll see. As long as it tacks up a bit, I might be able to manage, but something tells me that's not going to happen. This is going to be one difficult painting. Anyway, once the tractor was finally finished, the people were really pleased with the painting. They told me they would tell their friends who painted it, and hopefully, if any of them want something painted, it won't be a freaking tractor. I hope not. One tractor in my lifetime is enough. No, let me paint a memorable portrait, a sexy nude, oh yeah, a loving pet, or a moody landscape. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and the rantings of this old guy. I know, get an old fart yapping and he doesn't know when to shut up. But if you did, please be sure to give a like and subscribe to my channel. And even add a comment if you like. I'm always open to suggestions, and you might even give me an idea for my next post. Cheers, eh?